it's Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, and I'll be honest, maybe feel more comfortable with Max Clare's projection at not two than I do with Kenyon Sadiq's, but the athleticism and the kind of enticing traits that Kenyon Sadiq has just lure you in, because he's an explosive, space-eating, movable tight end who can stress defensive vertically, he can run any route, and he has the speed to get vertically when other players don't in this class. He's a real mismatch and causes conflict with defensive backs because of everything he offers. His projection, though, hinges on whether he can become a three-down player or not. If you don't think he can become a three-down player, he's not a first-round player for you. So it really depends on what you think he can do, because you maybe haven't seen it all. He's a seam stretcher as an athlete. He forces linebackers to turn and run. He's dynamic in space, has real catch-and-go acceleration, but still developing as an inline Y. His power and his sustaining of blocks, it isn't great. And I think while he's the only tight end in this class who has a realistic round one pathway and the upside is legitimate, his production doesn't necessarily justify that round one valuation, and that means he's going to be more of a projection than completely foolproof right now. But he has that high upside traits that you want to bet on if you're making a tight end pick in the first round, because of that vertical acceleration, the separation speed, fluid transitions at 6'3", 245 pounds, alignment versatile as well. While you don't really want him as an inline blocker right now, that he rarely wastes motion in his versatility in the alignments as a receiver. And he can occasionally line up in line, but I don't think you want him blocking. It's more of a decoy, and his ball tracking is exceptional. Stats: 560 receiving yards from 51 receptions, 8 touchdowns, led the position group in 2025, 6 drops, which is slightly concerning, and 4.9 yards after contact per attempt isn't the best in this class, but I think you can maybe mitigate that a little bit. 17% slot usage. So he was moved around, but I think he is going to be one of those vertical seam stressors, and a team's going to have to have a plan to unlock that athleticism even further when he gets to the NFL.
Yeah, he's also number one for me. I think that's no surprise. However, he does kind of go a little bit against what I normally go for. Of the two of us, Owain is definitely more the projection guy. But
I'm trying not to be this year. I'm trying to be better.
Well, we're maybe meeting somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I've gone a bit more flyers than I might have done previously. I don't think he's a flyer, though. I think the combine will be really interesting for him, because if he absolutely blazes, he's going to go really high. If he runs a bit slower than is projected, that might just raise the question marks. Well, what have we got in Kenyon Sadiq? Because he does rely an awful lot on that athleticism and that speed. He features multiple roles because you can attack linebackers, getting them turned. He's big enough to dominate safeties and those nickel defenders. He's quick enough to stress them as well. Really, really good receiver, tracks the ball well. He can separate the top of his routes, accelerates after the catch. Red zone threat as well. He can go up and get the ball there. It's, again, we're looking at players who are not the full rounded package. We've talked about it on the running back episode about role players. I think he's a bit more than that, but he definitely needs to work on his blocking ability and his physical style. I think you need to, if you want to get him on 3 downs, he does need to up that play strength and show what he can offer there. But I think, if there's going to be a tight end that goes in the first round, I'm not 100% sure yet, but
no, I'm not either.
I think in this draft where he's just a good player, let's just draft him, rather than waiting, because there is not maybe the high end class. I think he's certainly got the shot out of anyone to go round one. And for me, he is still the number one tight end in the class. But again, just some question marks lingering.
Yeah, like you said, with role players, the whole draft is just stacked with role players. With whether that's the next episode which we record should be on linebackers. There's plenty of role players in that as well. It's just up and down. There's the projections and the rankings are going to be wildly different, I think, when we actually get to draft, especially on day 2. because it's all going to depend on who fits what scheme and where teams are in their team building to where they fit in. I'll be honest, I'm not sure I would be comfortable using a first round pick on Kenyon Sadiq, but maybe in this draft a team thinks that that outweighs the talent on the board.